The person you are today is due to decisions or is because of decisions you made 5, 10 years ago. And the person you will be in 10 years is because of the decisions you make today. So ensure you make the right ones, because you make the wrong ones, you're in trouble. Not just for the next couple of years, but for the rest of your life. Because this life is all about compounding. You make the right decision, then you're sorted for life. Because you compound that good decision, and in a few years, a few decades, you're enjoying the fruits. So my job today is to help you make the right decision when it comes to car financing. There are many options to finance your first car or your second or your third. Making the wrong decision may make you hate the entire process and cars in general. But making the right one, that might be the best decision you've ever made. I personally am coming from a point of knowledge. I have been involved in the process several times. I may not sound my age right now, and might not sound my age because most people do not expect me to have that experience at this age. I know I'm no longer a kid anymore. But yes, I started hustling very early. Maybe I can give you a little of background, a bit of background, how I got to know about the things I'm about to share with you today. And this is knowledge you won't find elsewhere. So consider liking this video and subscribing so you get notified every time we do that. So I joined campus by the time I was in my second semester, all right, or first year. I knew I had to figure out a way to make money. And so I started looking for hustles here and there. By the second year, I was making some money part-time. And through that, I managed to purchase my first motorcycle, whose value was close to what most cars in Kenya cost, 300,000 shillings, and I bought that in cash. Back then, it was a lot of money, many years ago. And a few months later, I spent more than a million. In fact, the correct figure is 1.25 million shillings on a vehicle that I still use. It's a Subaru Impreza RS. It's a very, very rare model. You can check the rest of my videos, you'll see it somewhere. And I did that very early in life, while I was still very young. And it wasn't the best decision considering the investment options I had. A video for another day. But I'm glad today, looking back today, I'm glad I spent enough time and money on that very early, so that after that I would focus on other things, other investments, other valuable things that I could do with my time and money. But I still enjoy them. I still have them. I still have those two toys, and I've gone ahead and acquired even more. That's a story for another day. This is not a video to brag, but to educate you so you make the right decision. Not just my personal experience. I also have people around me who I have experienced go through the process, all right, or the journey of owning a vehicle. Some of them are family members, friends, and especially for the family members, I can say I'm coming from a point of knowledge, because these are people who have no reason to lie to you. They give you things as they are. I've also been involved in a few processes with some of my friends, so I know out of first-hand information, not things I hear out there. I also have friends and family members in the finance industry, the banks, the circles, all this, especially the bank. I have a very close family member who's in the bank and has been in the bank for decades. This is the guy I call every time I need to make a huge financial decision, and he advises from a point of, family. Not trying to get anything from me, but to give me the right information. And through that, I've gained a lot. Not everyone might be lucky to have such a person, and that's why you have me. I'm your uncle, your YouTube uncle that you've been looking for. So there are many options to finance your vehicle. In fact, I'll tell you for sure, most vehicles you see on the road today, especially the newer ones, are financed. It's not easy to to buy your car in cash. Most people have financed or they have their cars financed, and therefore the best thing you can do is to learn the best option available for you. There are many factors. There are many factors to consider when it comes to financing, including your source of income, your how stable your income is, your level of income, and so many other factors. Your type of employment. I mean, some people are in permanent employment, others are in other businesses, hustles here and there. So there are many factors, but if you are to keep those factors constant, there are 5 main ways for you to finance your car. 5 of them, and I'll take you through them, and then I'll tell you which is the best. And if you're keeping everything else constant, go for that best. So the first one, and the most common and the easiest to do, this is something you can do within a few hours, is hire purchase. Hire purchase. And hire purchase is simply, we learned this in high school, if I'm not wrong. Mathematics. Mwalimu wa math mnashinda mkimpa headache hapa online. They did a wonderful job. They taught us about hire purchase, whereby you buy an item or a commodity, and then you repay for that. You pay a deposit, right? A huge deposit, maybe half of that item, of the cost of that item, and then the rest, the balance is spread across a given period of time, a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, depending on the item. So for cars, mostly you find you're required to raise at least half of the cost of the car, and then the remaining amount is spread across a year. And not every car dealer provides this. This is only for the big players in the car industry. You won't find a guy with 2 vehicles allowing you to buy a car in hire purchase. Why? They need that income flow so they can buy another car and resell it. But for that big guy, big player who has 50 vehicles and 100 others on their way, they can afford to do that because you'll be holding their money for the next 1 year. You're just giving them a half of the cost, which does not cover the cost of a vehicle. Not that they are making a profit of half of the cost you're paying. No, they're making 50, 100, 200,000 shillings. Therefore, they must have enough capital, all right, to run their business for the next 1 year that will be holding their cash. So that's only for the big players, and that's why you won't find everyone offering that option. But it's one of the best. It's one of the best, not the best, but one of the best, and very straightforward. You walk in today, you walk out. All you need, you walk out with a vehicle with at least half of the value of the car. However, you need to know that they have to add, okay, an interest to that. So if a car is going for 1.1 million shillings, you'll find you buying the car at 1.2. Or if it's going for 1.2, 1.25, they must, all right, they must add some interest there because they'll be holding their cash for the next 1 year. You will also need, for hire purchase option, you'll need insurance. That must be the insurance that covers the vehicle at its best. That's what we call, what do we call it? You have the third party. Third party is not the best because it doesn't cover some of the problems that come with cars. But then we have, these are the insurance, I'm forgetting the name. This insurance cover that you're covered against theft, you're covered against fire, you have calamities. Basically, it's called comprehensive. I got the name. Comprehensive insurance. So you have to go for comprehensive insurance, which is a bit costly, but worth it. In fact, I do not recommend anyone to own a car, a brand new car, or a previously enjoyed cars for the first time without a comprehensive insurance. I mean, the chances of you being involved in an accident or losing your car are very high. So at the very start, minimum comprehensive. Normally in Kenya, 5% of the value. So if your car is worth 1 million shillings, 50,000 shillings for an entire year, and you can pay in installments. All right, you can pay in 3 equal installments, but mostly for hire purchase they'll want you to pay for the entire year, which is the period you'll be repaying the car anyway. So you need that. You'll also need the tracking device installed. They have their people that they trust, so they'll link you up with them. Cost 15,000 to 20,000 shillings, around that range, but you can budget for 20,000 shillings. That will be installed, and just like that you leave. All right. Major service, maybe you'll need some service because that car has been on transit for months, or at least several weeks, so you need some service, and there you walk out with a brand new vehicle that is running. But remember, starting the following month, you need to start sending your monthly installments. So if you paid, let's say a car is worth 2 million, which is the average cost of a car in the Kenyan market today, 2 million shillings, and you paid 1 million shillings, then you'll be required to repay the balance, which is 1 million shillings, within around 12 months. If you do your math, that comes to around 90,000. Is it? Let me pull out my calculator very fast. Calculator. There it is. So we're talking about 1 million shillings divided by 12. 83,000. Call it 84,000 shillings per month. So if you're able to do that consistently for a full year, then go for it. You have your first financing option that is very quick to get. Next is microfinance. We have several microfinance finance institutions in the country, and they also allow you. For these guys, they check on your credit worthiness, and then they finance your car, and your car is co-owned, them and yourself, and then you repay the loan and they transfer it to you. Not the best option to use because of their interest rates. These guys are in business only to make money through interest. So their interests are very, very, very high, and they are also very cruel. They are not very friendly when it comes to repossessing the cars in case you default. And things happen along the way. You might default. So they're not the most friendly people, but it's an option. It is an option, and that is very quick. They are also very quick to approve the loan and allow you to get a car. So if you need a car in days, microfinance would be an option, but get ready to repay a huge interest, sometimes twice the amount you'd have paid if you paid that for that car in cash. That's the second way. The third way is bank finance. This option is available, and it's one of the most friendly options because they also do a lot of due diligence. I like telling people, before you buy a car, go to your bank and get to find out the much they think you can afford, or the cost of a car they think you can afford. That should be your guiding. That should be the thing guiding you, because sometimes we bite more than we can chew. You buy a car that you can't afford, and a car that you can't afford means that you're most likely to default, or you're unable to get the car on the road. You don't want to go through that. So go to your bank, and give them your documents, and they will tell you the kind of a car you qualify for. Be guided by that. Even though you do not go ahead and buy a car through them, you can use that. Mostly these guys consider if you are in a permanent job, or in a business. So if you're in business, you need higher bank balances, or movement of funds, compared to someone who is in a job. And so they give people in permanent jobs, and especially civil servants, a higher credit score compared to people in business. And if in employment, a permanent employment for that matter, then you can afford a really, really good car. But again, do not just go for. In fact, it's recommended, if they tell you can afford a car worth 3 million, go for a car that is half, right? Half of that value. Because they say if you can't afford a car twice, then don't buy it. So go for half of the value they tell you can afford, and you'll not struggle When you do that, you'll not struggle. You won't strain the rest of the items. Sorry, I have to adjust this because I'm quite dark to be seen without this. A moment. Okay. Yes. Yeah, we're talking about bank finances, and go for a car you can afford twice. So if you qualify for a 2 million loan, go for a 1 million loan. Then you can upgrade later. You know the beauty of cars, it's easy to upgrade from one to the next. And in fact, it's better to start small because cars or driving is similar to cooking, all right, or riding. You get better with time, so you don't want to start with that very expensive car that will be knocking other cars on the road every other day. You don't want to go through that. So bank finance also a good option to go for, but they're also not very friendly. When you default, they'll come for the car. They'll send the auctioneers to repossess their vehicle, and you lose your money. And the impact, the mental impact, the psychological impact of that is even bigger than the loss of money or the asset itself. Then we have SACCOs. SACCOs are a wonderful way of buying a vehicle. And with the SACCO, what they do, they allow you use your savings as your security. So you do not even need to have people sign somewhere as your guarantors. You do not. Once you have your savings, they are able to give you a loan based on those savings. In most of them, they do 3 to 4 times your savings. So if you have asset finance savings of around 500,000, you multiply that by 3, they will give you a loan worth 1.5 million, and the amount you have as savings remains as their security. All right, so you're given around 1.5 million shillings to buy a car, and then repay that within a period of time. The beauty of SACCOs, they give you a longer period compared to hire purchase and some banks. Most SACCOs will give you up to 4 years. Imagine 4 years, 48 months. So if the loan was let's say a loan of 2 million bob, which is the average, again let's use the market average at the moment, and you have 4 years to repay them, which is 48 months, you'll be paying around 41,000 shillings. That's manageable compared to that hire purchase guy who was to pay double that amount within a single year. And remember, as you get your vehicle, you're most likely to have corroded all your sources of income, or corroded your savings. So you do not have hundreds of thousands of shillings lying somewhere for you to use that to repay. So you really have to make that money. And 40k is a good place. So if it was a million bob, you find yourself paying 20,000 shillings per month for the next 4 years. It looks long, and most of them offer their interest on reducing balance, which is a huge advantage. And when it comes to reducing balance, it simply means the interest reduces when you repay faster. So if you're able to repay it in 2 years, you save close to half of the interest you are to pay. And the interests are also pretty low. Some of the SACCOs I am a member of a few SACCOs. They offer an average of 13% per annum. So that's an average of 1% per month, compared to microfinances that offer up to 5% per month. SACCOs offer around 1% per month, so you repay faster, you're good. And then SACCOs also allow you to knock off your loan. So when you get to a point whereby you believe, let's say you took a loan worth 1.5 million, let's use the example used earlier, and your deposit was 500,000. Remember, that's safe there. So you repay until you get to 1 million shillings, and then you can talk to them and tell them, you know what, I do not want to repay this entire loan. You remember that 500,000 shillings that I kept as my deposit? Pick that and me and you are sorted, then I'll start saving afresh. They allow you to do that. And that's a huge advantage. So they also offer you, as most SACCOs will offer you, 1 month grace period. So you have an entire month. In fact, it comes to close to 2 months, depending on when you go to the loan. This is what I mean. Let's say you got your loan on 4th of December. So they'll give you a full month as grace period. Mostly the SACCOs allow you to make your monthly repayments or installments at the end of the month, just like the banks. And so giving you 1 month grace period, that will be the 31st, from 31st of December all the way to 31st of January. So you have 2 good months of grace period to reorganize yourself, and there's a lot you can do during that period. That's not something you get with hire purchase and some of the banks, but most of them, together with the SACCOs, they offer you that. Another huge advantage you have with the SACCO, and please listen to me, is that they are very, very lenient with you. So you can skip a month, you can skip an installment, and no one will be calling you left, right, and center, giving you or threatening you for your assets. That doesn't happen with other institutions. For the SACCO, they understand, and the reason they do that is because you are a member of the SACCO. You don't just come from anywhere and get financing from the SACCO. You must have been a member for, I think, 6 months. Yeah, most SACCOs 6 months, 3 to 6 months, and then have the deposit, which acts as the security. And yes, you've been participating, paying or sending the minimum monthly deposits. There's so much you pay in a SACCO that makes them feel you are a part of them, and they do not want to kill that relationship. So they can pardon you for a few months if that happens, sometimes up to 3 months, and that's why a SACCO is one of the best. Finally, and this is probably the best, is cash purchase. With cash, the biggest benefit you have is no headaches thereafter, and number two is that you're able to negotiate. Let me tell you, the car dealers also know this. If you're buying a car in cash, you're in full control of that discussion. You're in full control of that sale. But if you're buying a car through financing, those guys can do so much to you, especially when it comes to hire purchase. They can treat you badly, because they imagine you could be wanting to buy that car in that hour, and an hour later someone comes who wants to buy the same car in cash at the same price. So they are really considering the business they are in as well, just like you would if you're in that business. But when it comes to cash, you're able to negotiate. Yes, sometimes you even try walking away, which is one of the ways to really negotiate and get a good deal. If you're a good negotiator, you can get a really good good deal in cash. Not if you're good at it. Sometimes you could be having cash but you're not good at it, or you have someone helping you buy a car but they're not very good at it. But those are the 5, and if I was to choose one, with the experience I have and the experience I've seen people around me go through, and this is what I would recommend everyone, is go buy your car through the SACCO. Today, I cannot buy a car in cash. It's a waste of money. All right? You know, cars do not make you much. They are not the most appreciating assets we have. They depreciate as soon as you buy them. And then there are also so many other costs that come with vehicles. So I would not buy a car in cash. I would rather buy it through the SACCO, and then the rest, if I have that cash, I can put it elsewhere to make more money there. All right? I will, instead of saving the 13% per annum interest rate on my car, I'd rather put that money elsewhere and earn my 20%. Real estate earns 20% without much struggle, and so is the case with other things we do to make money. So I'd rather spend that money, make my 30% elsewhere, and then pay the 13% in a car, instead of spending so much in a car and then having to borrow to run your business, having to borrow to do other things, to pay rent and the rest of the things. So if there's one option I would go for, okay, number one is cash. Number one is the SACCO. So if I had to choose, is SACCO. Why? They are very friendly, you have a peace of mind, they want to protect you, they want to serve you, they want to maintain you, and the rates are very, very low. In fact, if you compare the rates with the loss of value of the shilling, the shilling depreciate, the way the shilling is depreciating, you'd realize you're simply not losing any money through the interest. So number one, I'd go for the SACCOs, and if there's no way of speaking a SACCO, I'd go for hire purchase. Those two. Otherwise, I wouldn't want to go through the bank, through the microfinance. And the beauty of those two that I've mentioned, the SACCOs and hire purchase, they are easy to renegotiate. If you are unable to repay your car through the SACCO, you can talk to them and they will restructure the loan for you. You'll pay a higher interest, but at least you're able to maintain or to keep your assets. Similar to hire purchase. You can talk to the guys that sold you the car. Mostly are big car dealers who understand, and they are able to allow you spend a little more time. Just make sure you choose the right car dealer, and mostly go for the big car dealers. That's why you see most people going to the coast, because they find those who are Hindis, those Asians with so many cars. So they're not just waiting for you to pay their rent. They have so many other people that are servicing their loans, their hire purchase cars, and so they're able to survive, and they listen. They give you a listening ear, because they know you could be their customer again after some time. But the smaller players in the industry, they can really mess you up. So I'd go for those two, and the only reason I would do that is because of the exit strategy. I was taught very early that before you sign any contract, ask, what's the exit plan? If I was to leave, how would I leave? Because that's how most people lose money. And in investing and with money, the number one rule is that you should never, ever lose money. So those two have the best exit plans. With the SACCO, you can knock off your loan. With the SACCO, you can still borrow money here and there and repay. And they also allow you, they'll be lenient with you, and they can restructure the loan and all kinds of things. With the hire purchase, you can even sell off your loan. You can get someone, sell them the car, but with the knowledge that you are servicing a loan through hire purchase, and yes, repay the car, and you're able to proceed. But with the rest, they seem, especially microfinance institution, they seem to be in the business of repossessing. So they seem to be happy when you're not able to service your loan. Same to some of these banks, they are not very friendly, and the guy you talked to at the bank is not the guy who comes to pick your vehicle. So those are the 5 major ways of financing your car. Number one, I'd go for the SACCO. If that's not possible for me, I'd go for hire purchase. But it should be possible, all right? You should have saved. You know, sometimes you need to test yourself. If you've not been saving 100,000 shillings in the SACCO for the last 6 months, what makes you think you'll be saving, or you'll be able to repay your car loan 100,000 shillings every month for the next 1 year? It's impossible. It's impossible. So it's good to build that culture even before you acquire the asset itself. All right? If you can't save 100,000 shillings, there's no way you're going to pay 100,000 shillings every single month. All right? As your car repayment installment. So use that. Join a SACCO. There are many SACCOs in this country. Depending on where you are and maybe what you do, join a SACCO, start saving there. You're protected. SACCOs are regulated by the government, so your money is safe. Buy your car through that, and you'll thank me later. Compared to other options, that's the best. Then the next one is hire purchase. With that said and done, thank you so much for watching.